best friend's creepy boyfriend tried to blackmail her with photos he stole, so we got him back and exposed his darkest secrets to the world. 2 years later, he just sent me a message. I'm still watching you. Meeting Michaela was like meeting a part of myself that I didn't even know was missing. She was my best friend. Actually, she'd get mad at me for saying that. She was my sister. So in our first year of college together, when a guy leaked her nudes, I stood by her, told everyone who laughed at her to shut the F up, broke up with any guy who tried to joke about it with me, and it wasn't until our final year that she met someone new. He was her man in finance. Green eyes, 6'6", mean to everyone except her. She started liking the color pink again, and her skin was glowing. So when they became official, she finally let me meet him. And hanging out with them was like mama y papa. They even bought me Wendy's and let me play All Too Well on repeat. And I lived closer to Marcus than Michaela did, so he dropped her home first. The second we were alone in the car, I started joking around with him. So you know Michaela's my girlfriend, right? You're just a side piece. I expected him to laugh or to jokingly fight for her love. You know I'm not so sure that's true, because Michaela says you're really boring. I turned to face him, expecting to see a smile or any other indication on his face that he was joking, but his face was completely flat, and he continued. You know you only get to experience college once, and me and Michaela both agree you're wasting it. The rest of the car ride was radio silent. You see, Michaela was by no means a party animal, but she did like smoking the devil's lettuce most evenings. Meanwhile, I had never even taken a sip of alcohol before, and whenever I asked if I was too boring for her, she always told me to shut up and that she loved me. At the time, it sounded convincing, but now I wasn't so sure. I tried to shrug it off, but something shifted after that. Michaela was taking days to reply to me, and had completely stopped going to her classes, and I guess my anxious attachment style got the better of me, because one day, I found myself standing at her door with a nicotine pen in my hand. As soon as she opened, I blew a huge puff of smoke in her face. Hey! I yelled, trying to keep things upbeat. Holding in my cough was even more difficult than pretending that matcha coffee actually tastes good. She stared at me completely shocked. I didn't know you had taken up puffing. Her tone was neutral and amused. Yep! I yelled, before doing the O's that I had practiced on the way. She let me in, and after just 2 minutes of awkwardness, we were back to normal, laughing at nothing, gossiping about everyone we knew. That's when her BF came in from the kitchen. He joined in, and everything was going really smoothly. Suddenly, Michaela went to the bathroom. When she was gone, Marcus sat on the bed beside me. He handed me one of those mini shot bottles of vodka. Michaela told me she couldn't help but feel awkward around you, which is why she's been so distant. I don't know why I believed him, but I did. And next thing I knew, I was downing the entire thing. When Michaela got back and caught me in the act, she squealed, "You've changed so much. I've been waiting for this moment." I looked over to Marcus, who had a huge smirk on his face, and we all took 2 shots each, or they did at least. Because in the bathroom, I took one of Michaela's half-empty wine bottles from the floor and downed the whole thing. Then another. And I guess the drunk overconfidence got to me, because I was actually surprised when I started throwing up everywhere. I came back to her bedroom barely conscious, and I don't remember what happened next, but I woke up at 3 a.m. to Michaela holding my hair back while I threw up into a bowl on the floor beside me. "Ava, what's going on with you?" she asked, and I was too drunk to resist her interrogation. "Marcus told me the truth, Michaela, that I'm too boring for you." By this point, I had stopped throwing up, and I could see the sadness in her eyes. She went really quiet for a while before finally whispering, "I never said that." After another minute of deep thought, she continued, "Marcus told me you said I was too intense, and you needed some space." I burst out laughing, because Marcus had played us both like a fiddle. Apparently, while we were apart, he tried to get Michaela to go no contact with her parents, and even accused her of cheating on him with her male professors. I helped her craft a breakup text right then and there, and she blocked him on everything. Good riddance. But the next morning, I woke up to the sound of Michaela crying. She didn't say anything, just handed me her phone. My face went white. It was the exact texts she had received when her nudes got leaked, because Marcus had done the exact same thing, except Michaela never sent them to him, because they were gym progress pictures, saved to her laptop, which was missing. I jumped out of bed so fast I almost fell over. My head was still pounding from the night before. I ran to her desk where her laptop usually sat. Nothing. We tore apart her entire room looking for it. Under the bed, in the closet, behind the dresser. It was gone. Michaela was shaking, and I grabbed her shoulders. I told her we needed to think. When was the last time she saw it? She said it was there yesterday morning before Marcus came over. He must have taken it when we were both passed out hammered. I checked the time on my phone. It was only 7 a.m. The pictures hadn't been posted anywhere yet, just threats. Maybe we still had time. I told Michaela to check if Marcus had been active on any social media. She couldn't because she'd blocked him everywhere. So I pulled out my phone and searched his name. His Instagram showed he was active 20 minutes ago. That meant he was awake and probably at his apartment. Michaela wanted to call the police, but I reminded her what happened last time. They did nothing when her ex leaked her photos. Just told her not to send pictures to boys. We needed to get that laptop back ourselves. I knew where Marcus lived because I'd been in his car. It was only a 15-minute walk from campus. Michaela was too scared to go, but I convinced her we had to try. We threw on hoodies and started walking. My hands were shaking the whole way there. When we got to his building, I realized we had another problem. How were we going to get inside? The main door needed a key fob. We waited outside for someone to come out. After 10 minutes, an old lady emerged and we slipped in behind her. Marcus lived on the 3rd floor, apartment 3B. We took the stairs because I was too nervous to stand still in an elevator. Outside his door, we could hear music playing. He was definitely home. Michaela knocked while I stood to the side. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. The music turned off. We heard footsteps approaching. The door opened just a crack with the chain still on. Marcus peeked out and saw Michaela. He tried to slam it shut, but I stuck my foot in the gap. I told him we just wanted to talk. He laughed and said we had nothing to talk about. Michaela started crying and begging him not to post the pictures. He said he didn't know what she was talking about. I pushed harder against the door and told him we knew he took her laptop. He said we were crazy and threatened to call security. That's when I noticed something through the crack. On his coffee table, I could see a silver laptop that looked exactly like Michaela's. I pointed it out to her and she gasped. Marcus noticed where we were looking and his face changed. He stopped denying it and started negotiating. He said if Michaela took him back, he'd return the laptop and delete everything. She told him to go to hell. He said fine, then everyone would see the pictures by noon. I was getting desperate. I pushed harder against the door, but the chain held strong. Then I remembered something. When we'd been drinking that night, Marcus had been bragging about his apartment. After his 3rd shot, he'd mentioned always forgetting his keys and laughed about hiding a spare. I whispered to Michaela to keep him talking. Then I ran down the hall checking everywhere, under the welcome mat, above the doorframe, behind the fire extinguisher, nothing. Then I spotted a fake rock by the stairwell window with dead plants. Bingo. I grabbed the key and ran back. Marcus was still talking through the crack, making threats about ruining Michaela's life. I quietly slid the key into the lock and turned it. The deadbolt clicked open. Marcus heard it and tried to push the door closed, but I was already shoving my way in. The chain snapped and I stumbled into his apartment. He backed away from us, holding his hands up. I went straight for the laptop on the table. It was definitely Michaela's, covered in her familiar stickers. I grabbed it and checked if it was logged in. It was. I could see the folder with her pictures still open on the desktop. My blood was absolutely boiling. Marcus lunged for the laptop, but I pulled it away. He grabbed my wrist and we struggled for it. Michaela screamed at him to let go. I yanked free and ran to the other side of his couch. He came after me but tripped over his own coffee table. While he was down, I quickly deleted the folder with her pictures. Then I emptied the trash. But I knew that wasn't enough. He probably had copies somewhere else. Marcus got up and his face was red with anger. He said deleting them wouldn't matter because he had backups on his phone and cloud storage. My heart sank. Of course he did. He pulled out his phone and waved it at us. Said he could upload them right now if he wanted. Michaela begged him not to. I told her to stop giving him the satisfaction. We needed to think smarter. I asked Marcus what he really wanted. He said he wanted Michaela back, but we all knew that was garbage. This was about control and revenge. I tried a different approach. I told him if he posted those pictures, we'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person he really was. He laughed and said no one would believe us. But then I remembered something. My phone had been in my jacket pocket recording. I'd been using it to record a voice memo for class when I left, and in my hammered fumbling must have never stopped it. I pulled out my phone and checked my recordings. There it was, a 20-minute voice recording from last night. I hit play and turned up the volume. You could hear Marcus telling me those lies about Michaela. You could hear him pressuring me to drink. You could hear everything. His face went pale. I told him I'd send this to everyone he knew if he didn't delete those pictures right now. Every single copy. He tried to grab my phone, but I backed away. Michaela stood between us. He was trapped and he knew it. But Marcus wasn't done being a scumbag. He said fine, he'd delete them, but only if I deleted my recording first. I laughed in his face. Did he think I was stupid? I told him he'd delete everything while we watched, then we'd leave. And if he ever contacted Michaela again, the recording goes public. He stood there for a long moment, weighing his options. Finally, he unlocked his phone. We watched him go through his photos and delete every single one, then his cloud backups, then his recently deleted folder. I made him show us his laptop too. He had a whole folder labeled with Michaela's name. Creepy as hell. We watched him permanently delete everything. When he was done, I told him to stay away from us. We took Michaela's laptop and headed for the door. But as we were leaving, Marcus said something that made my blood run cold. He said this wasn't over, and that we'd regret this. I turned around and told him if he tried anything, everyone would know what he did. We left his apartment and practically ran back to campus. Michaela was shaking the whole way. When we got back to her dorm, we both collapsed on her bed. She hugged me and cried for like 20 minutes. I told her it was over now. She was safe. But I kept thinking about what Marcus said. Guys like him didn't just give up. We needed to be careful. I suggested she change all her passwords just in case. She agreed and we spent the next hour securing all her accounts. New passwords for everything. Two-factor authentication. The works. I also made her check if Marcus had installed anything weird on her laptop. We found some sketchy monitoring software hidden in her system files. That creep had been spying on her for who knows how long. We uninstalled it immediately. By noon, nothing had been posted online. We kept checking every platform, but it seemed like Marcus had actually deleted everything. Still, I didn't trust him. I told Michaela she should stay with me for a few days. She packed a bag and we went to my dorm. My roommate was cool about it. She'd heard about Marcus being a jerk and said Michaela could stay as long as she needed. That night, we ordered pizza and tried to act normal, but I could tell Michaela was still scared. She kept checking her phone every few minutes. I tried to distract her with stupid TikToks, but nothing really helped. Around midnight, she finally fell asleep. I stayed up keeping watch like some kind of guard dog. I know it sounds paranoid, but I had a bad feeling. Good thing I did because at 2 a.m. I heard something outside our door. Footsteps in the hallway. They stopped right outside our room. I held my breath and waited. The doorknob jiggled. Someone was trying to get in. I grabbed my phone ready to call campus security, but then the footsteps moved away. I peeked out the people, but the hallway was empty. I barely slept the rest of the night. The next morning, I told Michaela what happened. She went pale and said we needed to tell someone. But tell them what? That we heard footsteps? They'd think we were paranoid. We decided to stick together and stay alert. I walked her to all her classes. We ate meals together. I even waited outside when she went to the bathroom. It was exhausting, but necessary. 3 days passed without incident. We started to relax a little. Maybe Marcus had actually given up. Maybe we were being paranoid about the footsteps. Then Michaela got a text from an unknown number. It was a picture of her walking to class that morning, taken from behind. The message said, "Nice outfit." She showed me and I felt sick. Marcus was following her, or having someone else do it. We went straight to campus security, showed them the text and told them about Marcus. They said they'd look into it, but without proof it was him, there wasn't much they could do. They suggested we vary our routes and stay in groups. Really helpful advice. Thanks, guys. We tried to figure out how Marcus got a new number to text from. Michaela had blocked him on everything. Then I remembered those burner phone apps. You could get a new number in seconds. He probably had dozens. Sure enough, she got another text an hour later. Different number. This time it was a picture of us at lunch. The message said, "You can't hide forever." I wanted to respond and tell him off, but Michaela stopped me. She said that's what he wanted. Attention. A reaction. We blocked that number too, but the texts kept coming. New numbers every time. Pictures of us around campus. Messages about what we were wearing. Comments about where we were going. It was like he was everywhere, or had people watching us. I started looking over my shoulder constantly. Every guy in a hoodie could be one of Marcus's friends. Every person with their phone out might be taking our picture. It was driving me insane. Michaela was handling it worse. She stopped going to classes, stopped eating, just stayed in my room with the door locked. I tried to convince her to talk to her parents or the police, but she was too embarrassed. She didn't want them to know about the pictures. Even though Marcus had deleted them, the shame was still there. After a week of this harassment, I'd had enough. I told Michaela I was going to confront Marcus again. She begged me not to, said it would make things worse. But how could it get worse? We were already living in fear. I needed to end this. I went to his apartment building again. This time I didn't need to sneak in. I still had his spare key. I let myself into the building and went up to his floor. Outside his door, I could hear him talking to someone. I pressed my ear against the door. He was on the phone, laughing about something. I heard him mention Michaela's name. Then he said something about the next phase starting soon. What the hell was the next phase? I used the key to unlock his door quietly. The chain wasn't on this time. I slowly pushed it open. Marcus had his back to me, still on the phone. I crept inside and looked around. On his desk, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Printed photos of me and Michaela, dozens of them, all taken over the past week. He had a whole stalking setup. There was also a notebook filled with our schedules, where we went, what times, who we talked to. This psycho was documenting our entire lives. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of everything. Evidence. Then Marcus turned around and saw me. He hung up immediately and stood up. Asked what I was doing in his apartment. I said I was collecting evidence of him stalking us. He laughed and said I was the one breaking into his place. He had me there, but I didn't care. I kept taking pictures. He tried to grab my phone, but I dodged him. I told him this harassment ended now, or I'd take all of this to the police. He said go ahead. His dad was a lawyer and would destroy us. Rich boy thought he was untouchable. I was so angry I could barely see straight. But then I noticed something else on his desk. A USB drive labeled insurance. I grabbed it before he could stop me. His whole demeanor changed. He actually looked worried. I asked what was on it. He said nothing important, but his face said otherwise. I pocketed the drive and headed for the door. He followed me, demanding I give it back, offering to leave us alone if I returned it. Now I knew it was something big. I left his apartment with him shouting threats behind me. Back at my dorm, Michaela was pacing anxiously. I showed her the pictures I took of Marcus's stalking setup. She started crying again, but then I pulled out the USB drive. I told her we needed to see what was on it. We plugged it into her laptop. The drive was password protected. Of course it was. We tried a bunch of obvious passwords. His birthday, his name. Nothing worked. Then Michaela remembered something. When they'd been dating, Marcus had gotten hammered once and mentioned he used the same password for everything. Something about his high school football jersey number and his ex-girlfriend Sarah's name. She remembered because she'd been hurt he still used his ex's name. We tried different combinations until we hit it. 87 Sarah. The drive opened. Inside were folders. Lots of folders. Each one labeled with a girl's name. We opened the first one. Photos. Intimate photos. Just like what he'd threatened to do to Michaela. There were at least 20 folders. 20 girls. Some names Michaela recognized from campus. This sicko had been doing this for years, collecting pictures like trophies. Some looked like they were taken without the girls knowing. Others were clearly sent in confidence. My hands were shaking with rage. Michaela was silent, just staring at the screen. We had him. This was evidence of a pattern. Proof he'd done this before. But what should we do with it? Take it to the police? The campus? Post it online? Michaela said we needed to think carefully. These were other girls' private photos. We couldn't just share them, but we also couldn't let Marcus keep doing this. I suggested we contact the girls first. Let them know what Marcus had. Give them the choice of what to do. Michaela agreed. We started going through the folders, looking for ways to identify and contact each girl. Some had their full names in the file names. Others we recognized from social media. It took hours, but we made a list. 23 girls total, all current or former students. The next day, we started reaching out, created an anonymous email account and sent careful messages. Explained we'd found evidence that Marcus had their private photos. Asked if they wanted to meet. The responses came quickly. Some girls were angry, some were scared, some said they'd suspected but had no proof. Within 2 days, we had 12 girls who wanted to meet. We organized a gathering in Michaela's dorm lounge. When everyone arrived, the stories started flowing. Marcus had dated several of them. Others he'd just hooked up with, but the pattern was always the same. He'd get photos somehow, then use them as leverage. One girl, Amanda, said he'd threatened to send her pictures to her parents when she tried to break up with him. Another, Janice, said he'd posted her photos on a revenge site after she refused to lend him money. The room was heavy with shared trauma, but also anger and determination. These girls were done being victims. We showed them the USB drive contents, confirmed which photos were theirs. Some girls cried, others looked ready to commit unaliving, but we all agreed on one thing. Marcus needed to be stopped permanently. We discussed options. Going to the police was risky. Some girls didn't want their photos seen by cops. Campus authorities had failed before. Public shaming could backfire and hurt the victims. Then Frances suggested something brilliant. Her older sister worked in IT. She could help us trace where Marcus had uploaded photos before, find any backup clouds or hidden accounts, delete everything for good. But we needed access to his devices. That meant getting him out of his apartment long enough to search it properly. We spent the next hour planning. It had to be coordinated perfectly. Some girls would create a distraction. Others would search his place. The rest would be ready to document everything. We called it Operation Takedown. Corny but effective. The next evening, we put the plan into action. 3 girls went to the campus coffee shop where Marcus studied every Thursday. They sat nearby and started loudly discussing a party. Mentioned free drinks and hot girls from another college. Marcus took the bait. He packed up and followed them out. Meanwhile, I used his spare key to enter his apartment again, this time with backup. Michaela, Amanda, and Janice came with me. We had 30 minutes max. We split up and searched everything. Under his mattress, inside drawers, behind books. Amanda found another laptop hidden in his closet. Password protected, but Frances's sister had given us a USB with password recovery tools. We tried the same combinations and got lucky. 87 Sarah worked again. More folders, more girls, some from other schools. This creep had a whole network. We copied everything onto our own drives. Evidence for later. Then we wiped his hard drives. Everything. Photos, documents, his entire system. Janice found physical photos in a shoebox. Old ones from high school. We took those too. Michaela discovered a backup hard drive in his bathroom cabinet. Weird hiding spot, but whatever. We cleared that too. As we were finishing, my phone buzzed. The distraction team said Marcus was heading back. He'd figured out the party was fake. We had maybe 5 minutes. I did one last sweep while the others packed up our evidence. That's when I noticed his phone on the nightstand. He'd left it charging. This was too good to pass up. I grabbed it and tried his usual password. It worked. This idiot really never learned. I went straight to his photos and cloud storage. Started deleting everything, but there were thousands of pictures. I couldn't get them all in time. Then I remembered something. Factory reset. I went to settings and hit the nuclear option. His phone started wiping itself. Everything gone. We heard footsteps in the hallway. Time to go. We slipped out and took the back stairs. Made it outside just as Marcus was entering the front. Back at Michaela's dorm, we regrouped with the others. Everyone was pumped with adrenaline. We'd done it. Cleared his entire stash. But we weren't done yet. Phase 2 was making sure he couldn't do this again. Frances's sister had found something interesting in Marcus's laptop. A folder full of passwords for email accounts, social media, dating apps, all belonging to the girls he'd targeted. He'd been hacking them too, monitoring their lives. We used his own passwords to access access his accounts, changed everything, locked him out of his own digital life. Then we found his backup clouds, 3 different services, all full of stolen photos. We deleted everything, then closed the accounts. By morning, Marcus had no photos, no passwords, no backups, nothing. But we kept copies of everything. Our insurance policy. If he tried anything again, we'd have proof of his crimes. The next day, Marcus showed up at Michaela's dorm, banging on the door, screaming about his phone and laptop. Campus security removed him. He sent angry texts from new numbers, threatened to sue us, said his dad would ruin our lives. We ignored them all. What was he going to do? Admit we deleted his illegal photo collection? After a week, the texts stopped. Word got around campus about what Marcus had been doing. Girls started avoiding him. His friends distanced themselves. He became a pariah. Some girls wanted to press charges, but others just wanted to move on. We respected everyone's choice. The important thing was Marcus couldn't hurt anyone else. Michaela slowly started feeling safe again. She went back to classes, started smiling more, even made jokes about the whole thing. I kept the USB drive with all the evidence, just in case, hidden in a safe place. Marcus graduated that semester and left town. Good riddance. Last I heard, he was working at his dad's law firm. Probably still a creep, but at least not our problem anymore. The group of girls stayed in touch. We called ourselves survivors, not victims. Some became close friends. Others just checked in occasionally. But we all had each other's backs. Michaela and I grew even closer through the whole ordeal. She really was my sister. We'd been through hell together and came out stronger. She started dating again eventually. Found a actually decent guy who treated her right. I was cautious at first, but he proved himself. As for me, I learned to trust my instincts. That weird feeling about Marcus from the beginning, should have listened to it. Now I don't ignore red flags. The whole experience taught me something important. Sometimes the system fails. Sometimes authorities don't help. Sometimes you have to protect yourself and others. We did what needed to be done. I'm not saying vigilante justice is the answer, but when someone is hurting people and getting away with it, you can't just do nothing. You find a way to stop them, legally when possible, creatively when necessary. Those 23 girls deserve justice, and we got it for them. Not through courts or cops, but through solidarity and smart planning. Marcus thought he could manipulate and control women. He thought wrong. He messed with the wrong girls. We showed him that his actions had consequences, that his victims would fight back, that we protect each other. I still have that recording from the Hammered Night. Never needed to use it, but I keep it anyway. A reminder of how everything started, how one creep tried to destroy a friendship and ended up destroying himself instead. Michaela still thanks me sometimes, says I saved her, but that's not true. We saved each other, and we saved those other girls too. That's what real friendship looks like. Having each other's backs no matter what, fighting battles together, refusing to let bad people win. Marcus wanted to break us apart. He failed. He wanted to hurt Michaela. We stopped him. He wanted to keep victimizing women. We ended his whole operation. Complete victory. These days I don't think about Marcus much.